Well, we're back, and no discussion about insecticides or even chemicals would be complete without mentioning 7. Now, you go down to a lot of places these days and you ask them for 7 and they don't have it. You'll find a lot of stuff that is goes by the name of carbaryl, and that's what the active ingredient will be on any of the 7 that you've already got. So they're going by the active ingredient name now rather than 7. The people that made 7 for lots of years sold the chemical rights to it, and the new company is not going to continue to keep the labels up to date on 7 or carbaryl. So what that means is a lot of times the 7 that you've used in the past that was labeled for certain things is no longer going to be labeled for that. It's still going to be 7, but it's just not going to have a label that says, yeah, you can use it on certain plants, certain ways, and things like that. So be advised that that's it. It's still the same chemical 7. You want to make sure the active ingredient is what it has been in the past, otherwise you'll need to use a little bit more of the chemical to do the same amount of job. One thing that is just about as common as 7 is malathion. Now, a lot of people think 7 is the safest chemical insecticide that there is, but malathion is actually more safe than 7 is. So I recommend a lot of malathion to be sprayed in the garden for various things. It doesn't have much residual and isn't very toxic, so it really doesn't do all that much, but at the same time it does do something. One thing that I want to for sure mention with malathion is it can have some photo activity on the leaves of plants, and especially tomato plants, so you don't want to spray a good heavy dose of malathion on tomato plants and then have a real hot day, or you're liable to burn them back terribly bad. A lot of people spray for spider mites on tomatoes with malathion. They put too much of it in because it is so safe, and they think, well, more will do even better, and they end up with some phototoxicity on the leaves of their tomatoes. So I want to caution people about that. One thing that is probably a little bit too late to spray now is dormant oil, but in the spring a lot of people spray this to control a lot of eggs on fruit trees and things like that. So you want to make sure that it's not going to get down below 40 degrees that night before you spray this. I used to think that, well, if it got down below 40, you just have to do it over again. But if it gets down 35 and below, it can have an effect on the trees, and it can actually kill the trees. Had a lady call in and she had trouble with her trees. She had sprayed them with dormant oil, checked the records, the weather records, and come to find out it had gotten down to 28 the night that she had sprayed that, and it killed her trees. So really want to be careful with that. Now, this is just about becoming a have-to thing because we've lost so many good chemicals to control insects on a lot of the fruit trees and stuff later on in the year. So dormant oil is one of those things that use it right, but you kind of have to make sure that you don't get anywhere close to a lower temperature. There are a couple of new insecticides, and I say new, they're not really new, but they are new for the homeowner. Imidacloprid is good for a lot of things. I wouldn't even start to stand here and start to tell you what all it's good for. But anyway, it's one that you might take a look at. I know I've had a lot of people call the office and say, well, with Dursban and diazinon and lindane gone, what are we going to do? Well, this imidacloprid is one of those answers that you might want to write down, go down to the co-op, get this, or get on the internet and check out and see what all it is good for, and where you can use it on some of your trees. There's one that a lot of people have said, what are you going to use now that diazinon and Dursban and lindane are all gone? And there's one here that I think is probably going to fit into that somewhat. Cyanara is what they call this bottle, but the active ingredient is cyperlin. So I urge you to look it up, take a look at it down at the co-op or something, and kind of familiarize yourself with how that one works. You know, we've lost so many chemicals, and this is one that I think is probably going to have to take their place, whether it does as good a job or not. any of the chemicals that we've had on here today, we're going to have the text running at the bottom, and you can see what how they're spelled and get on the internet and check and see what the label says and things like that, kind of investigate the chemicals a little bit. The safety especially of the chemicals, the LD50 is something that all chemicals are rated on, and the lower the LD50 number, the more dangerous the chemical is. Some of these are just extremely safe. Others are pretty toxic, and as a homeowner, as a user of the chemical, you really need to educate yourself on how dangerous that they may or may not be. There's one more herbicide that I want to talk about before we close. It's called sedgehammer, and for anyone who's got Bermuda grass that they're doing a real good job with, they know about nut sedge. It's got a triangular stem, and it's something that just never does get controlled by most of the things that we spray these days. Hardly even gets set back. Has a little ball at the top of it. Sedgehammer is one of those that will control that. Now, it may not do it in one season because you spray the nut sedge bulbs down in the ground are activated to start to grow whenever the temperature gets to be a certain amount. So early in the year, the more shallow bulbs will activate and grow. A little bit later, a little bit deeper, it'll get warm enough, they'll activate and grow. So you may spray and a few more come up. This is extremely safe. About the only thing wrong with it is expensive, but if you've got a nut sedge problem, sedgehammer is something to really use. Well, we haven't started to cover any of these in depth, but we wanted to kind of let you know what was out there. Didn't really say too much about safety, but one point I want to make is dishwashing gloves are not good enough for chemicals. They can go through them. So you're going to want to get a good set of gloves if you're going to be doing much spraying. They're available anywhere where you can buy your chemical. With that, I think we'll close for today.